Chapter 13. Holy Cow. As Durant made his way east through the rainstorm, he found scattered places that the German retreat had left somewhat untouched. He considered sheltering, but a sharp gnawing at the base of his brain told him he was better off on the move. A shelter could quickly become a dead end, and a repeat of his capture in the Chateau de Bois held little appeal. Durant crept through the woods, puzzling over why he had been allowed to live by the thing on the train platform. He wished he had not. He stopped, bent his knees, and squatted on his haunches. Fatigue flushed through him like a wave. He considered his options. The Mauser machine pistol. It sat heavy at his hip, a purchased first-class ticket to oblivion, awaiting his simple command to disembark his brains. No, not yet. Not yet. The people he had pulled into his orbit, Renoir and Isaiah, James and Caitlin, Dr. Halstead and Francois, Wolfgang and Jonah were out there. Who knew if any still drew breath? But Durant would not let himself go until he did what he could to determine what had become of them. The idea that he would attempt to survive until dawn, then take one full day to find them, took hold. Failing that, he would turn to the pistol for a permanent solution before the sun set. Look here, Davy. You don't have to do this. In fact, I'm telling you not to. Matthew Durant's voice echoed in his memory. They had set up camp halfway to Dawson. This far north, with July fast coming, the sun was taking its lazy time to reach the horizon. From here, the days would only stretch longer and longer, extending the twilight enough to drive a man insane. David squinted at the bright ball of fire. I've come this far. I'll stay until it's over and done. Matthew laughed. Kid, you don't even have the faintest idea of what over and done is going to entail. I don't care, shouted David, drawing himself up. Where the hell am I supposed to go? Home? Home's gone. Papa's dead. We killed him, Matthew. You and me both. I got nowhere else to go but with you. Matthew was silent. He stared at his brother a moment, then looked west, letting the setting sun burn into him. I'm sorry, kid. This is my fault. I'm trying to right it now. How about this? Let me put you on a train to Aunt Mary's. I'll give you half the cash. That ought to be enough to buy you a fresh start. Trust me, you don't want any part of what's coming. David thought it over before he spoke. Maybe so. You tell me what's coming and let me make my own choice on it. Matthew took a breath and sighed it out slowly. Hamish Jarmusch is coming, and hell is coming along with him. I am to stop him before he gets out of the gate. Durant came back into the present. The hell Matthew had hoped to strangle in the cradle was nothing compared to what was out there in the night now, living and breathing, hunting and killing. The rain had ceased some time back, but the wet spring foliage still cast a sprinkling down. Its quiet patter nearly kept Durant from hearing the approach. As the steps behind him cracked fallen deadwood, Durant glanced up. He could not see the things, but their presence was clear, close, just beyond the rise, coming right toward him. He scanned the woods for a hiding place, but there was nowhere to conceal. Fight or fly. Durant fled. He leapt a fallen tree and sprinted down a shallow slope that flowed downhill into a stream. The far bank was 6 feet high, soaked and mud-slick. Durant used the momentum of his sprint to leap the gap. He hit the far side and tried to scramble up the bank, but his plant foot slipped in the muck, and he lost hold on the mossy ridge, falling back fast, coming down hard onto creek stones. He pushed to standing and turned upstream, running against the shallow current. When he heard the splash and thunder of hooves, he did not turn to look back at his pursuers. He knew the horsemen of the apocalypse were close on his heels and about to run him down. He knew his sins were about to be paid for in full. "Lieutenant Durant!" yelled out in James Cox's American accent. "Stop! He's all right!" Durant stumbled over stones and tripped into the stream, catching himself with his hands. He looked back. It was not death on a pale horse. The moon lit up the Royal Lancer's chestnut stallion as he reined in. On its saddle, Sergeant Tremaine, lance in hand, expertly guided his mount to a stop. Behind him, clinging on for dear life, Private James Cox smiled a big wobbly grin. "Lieutenant Durant, holy cow, am I ever glad to see you. I was sure y'all were good as cooked. Praise the Lord."